this is what we're gonna do. All right, yeah, I think we're good. What we're gonna do, guys, is we're going to shoot. We're gonna start on page 21. I should have had this numbered. I don't know why I don't have this scene numbered. Anyway, page 21. Fade to later evening. We're gonna start shooting. We're not gonna shoot the coming to the cabin yet. I want to shoot the meat first. So we're gonna basically have already met Henry. We've already acquired the box of all the goodies. It's now nighttime, and we're gonna start. Like I said, sitting around a table. I'll have some stuff. Blah blah blah. And the professor's just gonna start reading. That's the best thing about this. A lot of this stuff, we're gonna have files just like we did with the interview. So you can have your scripts in there, or notes, or whatever you want, an outline. I don't care, because we got to get through a lot. And so this should be pretty easy. So we start with that. Page 21, Professor reads, talks about the reservoir, blah, 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 blah. And then immediately we're going to go into the pickets, the video of Sarah Jane Pickett's. And what we'll do is, because the professor's talking about how she was interviewed with this other guy who disappeared. And then we'll have Marla bring out her laptop, or she'll have it out. I'll have it here with the Sarah Jane Pickett's interview on it. So we'll figure out how I'm gonna do that. I got a couple more things I got to do in here, but so we'll gather around to watch this thing, and then of course the audience, I'll cut to the shot and I'll cut you back and forth of reactions while you guys are watching the Sarah Jane Pickett's. Yada yada yada. We come out of that, back to the cabin. Page 23, we talk about the phantom misery. That's key. Yada yada yada, and we'll dissolve to later that evening. We'll take a break. We'll make sure you know how that went, and we'll get through later that evening. Why Samantha talks about the levels of hauntings. The professor talks about the sea of trees. I don't have my pencil here. Sea of trees. There's gonna be a couple star points. I know I told everybody just to kind of go for it. We're just gonna go for it, but there's a couple key things that we want to talk about. The sea of trees, that suicide forest in Japan. The professor talks about that. Put a star there. Oh yeah, and another thing, key point, professor, is that things just happen. People get lost in the woods. It happens all the time. Doesn't make it some evil entity. It's life. Sometimes life is tragic. This is a key point, because this is why the professor isn't, from what happened to him. Anyway, make a star of that. Explaining the types. Samantha Tuttle explains the types. The seance thing, I don't know if this is wrong. So you're planning some type of seance, professor says. The script says so blank planning. So your needs to go in there. So you're planning some types of seance. Okay, so when we get down to finally, we're gonna do the ritual. Now Samantha has a book. I don't know, Lynn, if you have some book you want to use that looks cool. I have some. I mean, I'll find something, but I don't know. I'm just letting you. If you want to have your own, it's fine. And it goes to this stuff and that, and the other stuff. Then Jake, does the dart. He walks over. It says bend down, but I mean, the dartboard's here, the cabinet's here. So just mill about. Walk down here, look and open up the cabinet, see what's in there. A lot of this stuff I'm having, just so you know, I mean, use it. It's all part of the show. There's things here. It might be the story, might be in the story, might not. Totally up to you. You guys can ad lib, go off script, have fun with it. You know what I mean? As long as we stick to the story. Oh, here's the change for Gideon. Jake finds the script. He finds a letter in the book. He finds the letter. But I thought, since I have the reel to reel, I decided to go do the recording. I have the recording that Whip made playing Shane. I think that's better cinema. So Gideon, we're not going to read it. You're not going to read the letter. You're going to pull a box out. We're going to find a reel in it, and then we're going to put it on the machine and play it. So that's kind of cool. And we'll same thing. You're going to hear it live. I'm going to pipe it in here, for the first time. So you're going to hear it. The cameras will get your reactions while you're listening to it. Always remember another thing. The cameras are here. The 1 and the 2, which are your cameras. So we don't have to hide from them. When Jake goes to look at the cameras or just to make sure, do it. As you walk over, the floor will vibrate a little bit and that camera move. That's fine. The audience understands that you have cameras. I have microphones. The audience understands that. So feel free to do things. Just try to remember that that's your audience. So not that you can't have your back to it while you're doing something, but let's try to remember, like, crosstalk, that kind of stuff. Acting like that. Like, don't get up and be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, yeah. Realize that this camera's here. So we can talk while we're doing this, because that camera's going to pick up. I'm going to move this camera. I'm going to move. I know it makes no sense. Who's running the camera? Well, the audience isn't going to pay attention. But I am going to move this camera to get different close-ups. This is going to be, if you're sitting here, this camera's going to move and zoom in here. That camera's going to be constant wide. Now, I believe that Eric's coming here to do with the C70, I believe. So we are going to have 3 cameras, I think. So maybe he'll do the close-ups. We'll see. All right, so that's the big change. We're not going to read the letter. We're going to hear the suicide note. And then, and that's why we all have to react. Like Marla will be like, instead of saying it's a suicide letter, well, obviously it's not. So Marla could say, oh my God, he taped his suicide message, or something like that. And while this is going on, the professor still has papers in his hands, because he'll immediately go to... The professor looks up for his papers. Seems like you're not the only one thinking that, according to these reports. Detective Sawiski interviewed Mrs. Shire before she and Billy went missing. Cut. And then we're going to dissolve, and I'm going to show that. The audience will see that, but we could take a little break there. And then we pick up on page... Back to the cabin on 35 at the bottom, where you guys are looking through the detective's files. And I'm going to have files. I'm going to have some prints. You can put notes in there. Oh, I want to say this, or whatever it is. That's what I'm saying. It's like, as long as you're not doing, I mean, a lot of this stuff you're reading, so read. And if you're not reading, but you want to look at your script, just don't, just make sure, glance down at what you want to say and then take a moment and then do something else and then act. As long as you're not, doesn't look like you're reading script. Blah, blah, blah. Now, the professor, let's see. Oh, yeah. Another point for the professor has to make that Helen Shire was investigated, possible Munchausen syndrome, proxy. I want to state that, make that a point, make that a star. And then Professor, you don't have to believe about the ice farm and the carbon dioxide poisoning, basically. That's a key point. Then we can stray. And when Jake grabs the ice pick out of the boxes, he finds another box. It originally had the letter in it, so we're going to have to improvise that because we find a tape and we move away from it. There's also a box of stuff in there. Maybe while the professor's reading something, maybe Jake can still be milling about and pulls out the box. Whatever you guys want to do. It's just going to be. So then we go to the real spirit communication. I'm going to pipe in all the sounds. You're not going to hear that part of it. What's the point? You're just going to pretend that you hear things. And then when Jake speaks French, that's the other big thing. That has to be. And they find out what it means. You're all gonna die. Blah blah blah. Playback voiceover. I'll have to do that. Maybe I'll put that on. I'll put that on the laptop too. Let me make a note of that. You can hit the click. Like, what does it say? And I'll put it on a phone. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I got to do that. I got to make that happen. I'll put it on my phone or something. Of Google saying, Jake talks about Dave again. And what else? Okay, so then the lights go out, which are obviously going to happen. I have everything wired to one switch. I might keep the moon on because maybe there's a skylight there. I don't know. We'll talk about it. So this part gets crazy. Okay, the light goes out. Marla hears a voice. We're in the dark. I'm going to have the crank flashlights. I'm going to get another one coming in. We're going to do stuff like that. I have a lantern coming. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So this is going to be in the dark. Then the lights come back. You can do a lot of talking in the dark. We'll discuss it. You know what I mean? Don't panic. We can always cut. That's the beautiful thing. We can always cut and say, hey, let's try this. Let's say this. And then go back to where we were sitting or whatever. Pause. And just start doing it. And I'll just cut it. Because that's the beauty about two cameras. We just cut. The audience sees nothing. So if something gets weird and we need to regroup, we'll just do it. And then take it from a certain spot. So no one needs to stress out about it. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean. And then we have to keep going. It's a lot. I get it. It's a lot. And we can, like I said, we'll just have to keep, if it gets too much and we're getting lost, we'll just stop. What do we have to say? Let's read this. Okay, we're going to do that. All right, put the script down and action. That's how we'll do it. That's how we'll plug along. All right. And then until Jake does his disappearance, we need to shoot to page 47. So the joke of it is, what is that, 20 plus pages? I mean, there's several pages in here where you guys aren't in. Usually in a typical shoot day, if you can get 10 to 12 pages, say an average of 12 pages, if the crew is really moving, we're talking at a 10-hour shoot day. We're going to shoot 20 plus pages in 2 hours, 3 hours. So that's crazy. But I love it. And that's why it's like just the key points. No, you don't have to know. You want if you can, but I mean, I'm not. I don't expect people to know 20 pages and to recite them in 2 hours. Just let's just see what we can do. We'll shoot the story. We need to get to. This is the key points. We need to get to. It's later that evening. We already know Cindy Lou's story. We know about the pickets. We know about Henry in the box. We know about the lights go off. The electric's bad. We know all this already. We are at that night where we want to do what happens. Well, the professor always has an answer. We do the first ritual. Nothing happens. Then we get bored. Jake finds the real. We find out about the suicide. The lights go out. Then the sounds start happening. Then the lights come back. And then the lights go out. And then, what the F? And then Jake disappears. That's what has to happen. So, I mean, we could do a rehearsal, a Zoom thing, but I just figure I'll just do this. I mean, we'll just follow along. And the key points are, we have to find out. The professor's key point is he talks about that tragedy just happens. It doesn't have to be evil. He also explains the dry ice effect that creates hallucinations for the town, the town of Hidden View, engulfed by dry ice. Jake's big thing is, the whole this is going to drive me crazy, this crank flashlights, I got to get out of here. And Jake's always very flippant with everybody, like, oh great, a 7-foot, wooden doll or whatever, or get splinters or whatever. Samantha's big thing is she tells the different hauntings, the poltergeist, the intelligent, non-intelligent, and it's all in here. But that's it. She does the ritual. Marla's always, her key point is she's always trying to, it's gonna be Billy, We gotta set him free. And you guys are just gonna mill about and have fun, and I'm gonna have some snacks and stuff like that, and we'll have our jackets off. I don't know what the temperature's gonna be like in May 12th. It could be hot, but I have AC in here. But this is going to be springtime, so that's why it still could be cold. When we do shoot Henry, Jake won't be here, or because I don't think we'll get, if we get through this, great. But Jake will be down by the lake, or something, and when we shoot Henry's scene. And that's why it could still be cold. That's why the professor says it could be rough and cold, bring warm, because it's a lake. It's chilly. It could be chilly in the morning, chilly at night, 30s. That's what we perceive. It's spring. The leaves are popping. I'm gonna have some B-roll. Oh, I'm not doing a drone. I'm sorry. Right. One last thing. When you first get here, we are going to shoot. We're not going to shoot anything. We're going to record the audio of you guys being in the car, and that we just sit here and read. Oh man. Where is it? Page. I don't know where the hell it is. It's right before we start. I forget where I took my thing out, so I don't know where it is. It's just it says in car driving scene. I don't know. There it is. Is this it? Yeah, drone of car. We're not shooting a drone. I can't stand drone footage. If I see another goddamn movie where it opens up with a drone of a car, you know, we're talking about this. This was The Shining. Okay, that's 19. It was shot in '79. Okay, shot with a helicopter. And ever since then, now it's a joke. Everybody has a drone. Every goddamn movie has a drone. I cannot stand it anymore. I'm going to shoot the opening like Deliverance. I'm going to have cameras on the ground. Cars going to drive by it. If you watch the beginning of Deliverance, you know what I'm talking about. And you're going to hear people talking and see the car go boom, and you're going to hear talking. That's what's happening. Anyway, so you're going to... How much further? We lost our GPS, blah, blah, blah. It's a couple of paragraphs. We're going to sit here. I'm going to stick a mic, and we're going to talk, and I'll pipe it in later. And then that'll be a good warm-up, and then we'll shoot to that evening. After we've already discussed it with Henry. All right. Shoot me an email if you have any what the F's or any questions. I hope we can do this. I hope everybody can still make it. Friday, May 12th. Whenever we can get here. Whenever you can get here. I know Gideon's coming from, you know. I think you got here around 10:30, something like that, which would be awesome. If we can start rolling at 11 o'clock, it'd be awesome. Because you figure we'll do the car scene. That should take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's just audio, and then we'll start shooting. And a good solid 2 hours of filming is what I'm hoping. 3 hours, 3 hours is a max. So a good 2 hours. We can do it. We'll have fun. As long as we get through the story, then we'll... And if we go through the story, like, just keep going. Keep going. Stay in character. We can always go back and say, oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't do this point. Let's gather around and take it from X. Go. And that's what we'll do. We'll go back and we'll hit any points that were missed. Who knows? Maybe we just roll it out and we're done in an hour and a half. I mean, it could happen. So that's it. I'll see you soon.